When I left religion and Christianity, I realized that anyone who talks negatively or doesn't adhere to the church's view about something concerning religion is irrelevant. Now you might say, what's wrong with this? There's something definitely sinister about people who see what people say as irrelevant. If you don't agree with how they believe or how they live their lives, people in church only take what people say seriously if they agree with what this person believes. If the person speaking is an atheist, agnostic, a philosopher, a scientist, unless this person has a fundamental belief in God, a lot of fundamentalist Christians will completely ignore what this person even says. Because I was taught as a Baptist, whatever someone says that isn't a Christian is trying to lure you away from God. Imagine being a human being and your value in what you say and do is equated to nothingness because you choose not to believe what this other group believes in. You don't get special privileges because you believe in God. Well, in our country, people believe that if you believe in God, you must be a decent person. Somebody obviously hasn't been watching the crime channel because most famous criminals believed in what we would call God. It doesn't make you a decent person. It just gives you the image of respectability. That is very, very different. And I never get those things mixed up. Why is there a difference? Because just because you have an air of respectability does not mean you're respectable. I mean, how hard is it for people to get it through their thick heads? Just because a man has a wife and 2 kids, a good job, doesn't mean he's a good man. If that were true, almost every person who has a family would not be on the domestic violence registry. And yes, there is one now. The majority of people wanted by the FBI, sexual predators, are men with an image of respectability. We call it plot armor if they were characters in a show. Just because you have the ability to be a decent person has nothing to do with usually how you live your life. Some of the most wicked, scrupulous people who would do anything, even walking over someone's career to get what they want. And they had 2 kids, a heterosexual wife, and an image of respectability. Like that one music minister in Alaska that framed a pastor with adult imaging on his computer. He was a heterosexual cis white man of respectability, and yet he destroyed lives. Discounting what somebody says because they have a different opinion or a different lifestyle or a different belief system is complete and utter ridiculousness. How in the world could you justify ignoring somebody? Well, religion does it all the time with women, minorities, and people whose sexuality just doesn't compute for them. A lot of it's ignorance. People are afraid of what they don't know. But if they actually took the time to get to know what they fear, they wouldn't be afraid anymore. Unless they're weird. If you get to know what makes you afraid, I guarantee you're not going to be afraid of it. Unless it's a hate group, then you should be afraid. Americans, by and large, especially the white ones, think that Americans have to look the same way. That everyone believes the same thing. They don't. Christianity right now may have the most members, but I hope in 50 years, less than half of the people in North America is religious. Our society would be so much better if less than half of the people in America believed in a power higher than their own. Religion has done very little good for anybody. This is why I call Christianity white man's religion, because they used it to justify every act of depravity against indigenous people, women, African American people, all minorities. This is who they are. Not all of them, obviously, but this is what kind of people you're most likely to come in contact with. Christianity is all about preserving such an old, archaic standard. Nobody in their right mind would want it anymore. They basically want Sharia law, but a whiter version. I always say, blessed be the fruit. That's the kind of government they want. If you've ever heard of The Handmaid's Tale. I mean, Margaret Atwood was genius, setting it in the one place that's most likely to have a problem. Until America gets their head out of their ass and just doesn't care anymore about religion, even though it's perfectly fine to be religious, just leave it at home, or find a group of people that care. I mean, people I want to know don't make religion their identity. Your identity is made up of so many different, unique traits, beliefs, philosophies, life experience. Don't minimize who you are into one box of being a Christian, being an atheist, being a Jew. You miss out on so many things by having such narrow tunnel vision. When the church teaches its members that anyone who talks negatively or doesn't adhere to Christian principles is irrelevant, a threat, or a danger, it's not okay. It is not okay to teach people that anyone who has a difference of opinion or completely rejects what the Bible says is not a threat. Stop indoctrinating people. Stop making other people so uncomfortable. And if you're constantly afraid of being persecuted, being targeted, having your rights taken away, then you need to look in the mirror and wonder if maybe the philosophy is the reason why I feel like this. But they won't. They won't. Because then they'd have to be uncomfortable. And white fundamentalist Christians don't want to be uncomfortable. They would rather rewrite history, ignore racism, exploit homophobia, downplay sexism, instead of being a decent human being and seeing the world for how it is, not how we want it to be, unfortunately. Nobody is luring your kids away by having a difference of opinion. What is predatory is indoctrinating your kids with things and beliefs that aren't scientific or factually backable. When you're teaching your kids or anybody religious or secular things that are not backed by scientific evidence, facts, or credible information, that's the danger. And it's not going anywhere, unfortunately. And all these groups that want to protect the children, protect the family, it's bigotry, is what it is. We don't want to preserve the nuclear family or the heterosexual family. It's bigotry, is what it is. They don't want anybody but a small group of people to have equal value and input. And if you're not white, cis, heterosexual, and married, you're a threat. And honestly, for the next 60 years, I'm going to enjoy being a threat. I'm child-free, man-free. I love being a threat to ignorant people. If you don't like it, no one's making you stay here. Just don't make it miserable for everyone else. Let people be who they are. And as long as their sexual interest is in people 18 or older who want to be involved with this person, mind your own business. And if your focus is more on what people are doing behind closed doors or what rights they have instead of feeding, clothing, helping, and protesting, you have fucked up priorities.